Alright y'all, this is how to bind your sketchbook. So first you need to make sure you have your supplies, and that's all 4 of your sketchbooks that we've made through the semester. And you need to have 7 paper clips and a length of thread. You'll probably want some scissors and a needle as well. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is to start by lining up your sketchbooks. And many of your sketchbooks will line up a little bit better than these ones because I use sketchbooks that are just kind of abandoned by students from the years. Sometimes the holes don't line up, and you can see here the holes do not line up for the last sketchbook, so that's okay, and I will show you what to do. If yours don't line up like mine don't line up, you're just going to need to make sure that you have one of the owls. And we will start by looking at the ends and going, okay, these all line up, and so it's just the one at the very end. So what I'm going to do is mark it, and remember you only have to do this if yours don't line up. So I'm going to mark it like this, mark it like that, like this. We're going to be using these holes instead of the existing holes that have been sewn through. So this one signature will have a lot of little marks. So I just lined it up, and then I made a little mark where all of the other holes are in the sketchbook so that I can use those holes. And then now I'm going to poke through. Actually, I should poke through this way where I can see it. So I'm just going to poke through with the owl in the new holes so that this sketchbook, when I go to sew it up, it has holes in the same spot as the other one. We're not going to take out the sewing. We're not going to do anything else. Just poke some holes through like that. So now it's ready to go. And now mine are all like yours, and all of the holes line up reasonably well. So the first thing that we need to do is to put paper clips in between some of the bindings. So let me zoom in on this, and it's so that they will stick together. So we'll do this 2 at a time. You take the 2 sketchbooks like this, and then you open it up, and you put a paper clip at the top, just like this, so that it's the middle, right, where you have the stitching, okay? And then you're going to put a paper clip at the bottom, okay? Now we're going to add another sketchbook signature on, and put it with the next one, right? So I've got 2 of them attached. So now I'm attaching the 3rd one up at the top, like this. And then I'm going to attach it at the bottom. I'm just making sure that it's neat and tidy. Okay, and I can see, right, that it's the middle of that. Make sure that the paper clips are close to the ends, and then now I have the last one. And again, I'm just taking it from the middle and lining it up like this, and then going to the back side here and making sure that they're lined up. Probably we should have talked about this from the beginning, but it's nice to put them in chronological order. It's not 100% necessary. It's really a matter of preference, but your chronological order will have you with the pen value one first, and then that's the first one, and then we'll have the paint practices for the second one, and the 3rd one is what is within, and then the last one is the one that you just turned in with the phobias. So we're going to go like that and get it all situated so you have everything all together just like this. Now what we're going to do is get our needle and thread ready. So you will take your thread and find the end of it, and we're going to do about an arm's length. So I just did kind of my wingspan of thread, and I'm going to cut it off just like this, and then let's zoom in so that you can see me do this. Okay, so I'm going to thread the needle. They've got nice big holes. Remember to get a tiny little end of thread like this, hold it still, and then slide the needle onto it, just like that. So we've slid the needle onto it. Now we've got our 2 ends of the thread, and we need to tie them together like they're just one piece of string. So we twist it around and push it through. Okay, like it's a balloon, right? Twist it around and push it through. Try to get a couple of knots on there. You want to make sure you have a tail, but it doesn't need to be really, really long. After you get that tied together, then you open it up and add the paper clip. Okay, so we've got the paper clip on. Now we're going to pull it tight, just like this, to make sure that the paper clip's at the end, the needle is at the front, and now it's time to start sewing. When you sew, you need to hold your sketchbook up like this. Try not to flip it around a bunch of different ways because it makes it so that you have a hard time knowing which direction you're going. So we're going to start with this first top one on the very first sketchbook, and you're going to go in through here so that it comes out right in the middle. And then we're going to go down to the next one. From that same thing, holding it open, go down to the next one, just like that. Okay, now from here we need to sew the first sketchbook onto the second sketchbook. So we're going to go in to this next second hole right here. I make sure that it's come through. Yep, I stabbed myself a little. It came through. And pull it tight. And then from here, you go up, and you're coming out the second hole, not in the paper clip, so you're coming out the second hole like that. And then we're going to go into the third signature, making sure that it's staying tight as best we can. Go into the hole of the third signature, just like that. Pulling it through, trying to keep it from getting tangled on stuff. Taking it off of the, paper clip so it's not stuck. Okay, so now it's through. So now I need to go down here because that's where it is. So on the inside of the signature, go down and pull it over. And then now we're going to attach the last signature. So we're just going to go into the last signature, and this is the one where I made the extra holes, so I'm going into my extra holes instead of the sewing holes so that it lines up with the binding and makes everything straight. Okay, so everything's attached with one group of stitches, and now I need to go back through and close up the other gaps. So it's ended on the last signature, and I need to sew just across the way to the next signature. So I will go like that and pull it through, and then I'm going to come out this second one, and I need to look and see it. It's going to come out. I just stay on the inside there. Comes out, and I should have a little gap between here, right? You can see how these haven't been sewn together yet. So I go into the second signature, and I will put the needle through just like this. Okay, and that tightens it up, and then now I'm going to come up the top hole. So it's coming up the top hole, and this is the last one where I'm going to need to tie it together with the length of thread that I hopefully left for myself at the top. Okay, so now it's done, and each of the little signatures have been joined, right? So you need to make sure that you're pulling it tight, and then I will tie it to this original knot that's right here, and I'm just kind of going around let me show you that a little bit slower. So I'm holding on to the paper clip like this, which is still through that string. And I'm just going around with my needle and pulling it through. Right? I'm going to do that several times, go around with the needle and pull it through, and around with the needle and pull it through. Then for the paper clip, I just slide it off. For this, I'm going to cut it, but leave a little tail. Okay. And then for these little paper clips, just the bottom ones where I've sewn, I can take those ones off, but leave the ones on at the top. For the top, we have to repeat the process again. We do the same thing. So take your needle and take out the string, get a new length of string. If you got too much or not enough last time, then adjust your quantity with this time. I like the amount that I got. It was more than I needed, but not so much that I was struggling with it. So remember, get up close, right? So we're getting up close to the end of the thread like this so that it's stiff, and it makes it easier to thread on the needle. Hold the thread still, move the needle towards it. Then pull it tight. Take your two ends and make them one thing, and then you're going to tie it like it's a balloon. Just for the end, I'm going to try to get a little bit bigger of a tail than I had last time, because it was kind of hard at the end to make sure I was sewing around something when I was doing the final stitches. So I'm going to try for a little bit bigger of a tail this time. Tie it around a couple times. Okay. All right, pull it tight. Get your big paper clip, or a little paper clip is fine. I'm just using a big paper clip because it's easier for me to hold on to. And go like that. So now we're ready. We've got paper clip, we have needle, and we're ready to do the next section. So turn your book upside down, go to where we haven't removed the paper clips, and let's get started. So we're going to start from the top one. Oh, well, let's adjust this camera. So we're starting from the top one, and we went in from the outside, and you pull it tight, like that. And then we're going to the next hole down. Right, just like that. Open up to the next one. So from that one in, go up to the next hole, the top hole, good. And then we're going into the next signature. And we're sewing into the next signature like that. I'm just trying to find the center of this sketchbook. There it is. Okay, and I can see that it's starting to kind of try to turn, get tangled around my paper clip, so all I'm doing is just adjusting it. Okay, so I went in the top one, and now I'm going to go in the next one down. Right, and I'm just repeating the same pattern from before. You go in, top, out, bottom, across bottom, you know. I'm going into the last one now, pulling it tight, and then coming out the top of this. All right, and now it's time to go back through and close up the stitches. So I'm going from the first one here into this next one, closing up that gap, and then I'm going to go right here it's caught on something, so instead of tangling, I'm just going to open it up and check it out. Okay. Now I'm going to go right in here. And then I'm coming out the top one. And that's it, y'all. They're all tied together, and now I just need to do the last little sewing thing. Remember last time, hold on to the paper clip. And I'm just tying it around. This several times. Stabbed myself a little there. That was not enjoyable, but I'm gonna live. Alright, that's it. Leaving a small tail. I'll cut that off. And then I can remove the big paper clip. And remove the small paper clips. And if you've done it correctly, your book is now bound. They're all sewed together. It shouldn't be terribly baggy, but it might have some movement, and that's okay. We just sewed the two groups together here. We didn't incorporate this because it's a more complicated binding, and this was hard enough. So way to go. That's the first step in how to bind your signatures together.